Hello, I'm Dr. Al Skocic, and today we're going to talk about neuropathy myth 1, which we titled The 5 Most Dangerous Words. And those are the 5 most dangerous words we hear here at our clinic. In 26 years in practice, I've seen many patients try to live with the pain. While this may be the only alternative for some patients with chronic conditions, so a chronic condition is something that's there for a long time, like failed back surgery, this strategy typically does not work well with neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy, or peripheral neuropathy. So if you are hoping against hope in saying those 5 words, maybe it will go away, this video is for you. The common neuropathy sufferer has a history of symptoms going on for years. This pain typically hasn't improved, and when asked, these patients admit things like, yes, it's harder to walk. I'm having more difficulty sleeping at night. Even I can't feel my feet. Sometimes we hear them say things like, I tend to fall sometimes for no reason. My legs feel weak. If you experience any of these symptoms, you may have peripheral neuropathy. Frequently, patients saying these words are on pain medicine, hoping the pharmacological agents will control the debilitating pain. Unfortunately, these symptoms tend to go on for years and years and years. 2 medications come to mind. The first one is Neurontin. The second one we'll talk about is Lyrica. Regarding Neurontin, in 2009, a first-tier medical journal, the New England Journal of Medicine, published an article, and the title of that article was The Neurontin Legacy, Marketing Through Misinformation and Manipulation. They went on and explained the history that gabapentin Neurontin was patented in 1977 and approved in 1993 by the FDA in doses of up to 1,800 milligrams a day for seizures. However, sales of Neurontin rose from 98 million in 1995 to nearly 3 billion in 2004, to a large extent due to marketing, which included chronic pain and neuropathy. This rise in sales was questioned by a young biologist, Dr. Franklin, working at Parke-Davis, who was concerned that he was participating in marketing that was not legal. An actual suit was filed, ultimately ending on May 13, 2004, when Warner Lambert agreed to plead guilty and pay a civil penalty of $430 million. But the legacy of this, that marketing can be well financed and disguised as research. And second, that marketing, many people and many prestigious institutions failed to recognize the ethical and legal issues of these actions. And third, when things like this happen, we question the future and the public trust. This was perhaps best said by Dr. Joshua Freeman, who wrote a book called Health, Medicine, and Justice, subtitled Designing for an Equitable Healthcare System. In it, he noted thousands of people were treated with a drug that was neither FDA approved for the indications for which it was being promoted, and it might have been ineffective. The other commonly prescribed neuropathy drug is Lyrica, and this left Pfizer subject to a $2.3 billion settlement with the U.S. Department of Justice for urging doctors to prescribe off-label use. While off-label use is not illegal, Pfizer was actively advertising the medication for off-label uses of this anti-epileptic medication. So if you're taking medication for your symptoms, not all medications are bad either, but if you're taking medications for your symptoms and they're not getting better, and you're not improving, or worse yet, you're gradually worsening, you owe it to yourself to be honest with the situation. A famous bard once said, "This above all to thine own self be true." So let's start listening to our body and not accepting that we have to live with this debilitating condition. Jack Webb played Joe Friday in Dragnet, and he had the famous line, "Just the facts, ma'am." The facts are neuropathy is a progressive and degenerative condition. Damage to nerves commonly starts before the symptoms begin. So if you have pain, probably the neuropathy's been there for some time before. Commonly a gradual, insidious onset of a subclinical disease with the signs and symptoms appearing later. And all that means is it comes on gradually without warning, but the disease was probably building up for a while. Covering the symptoms and trying to ignore your loss of function, your difficulty walking, your lack of endurance, your pain at night, may be compared to putting cotton on your ears, when you smell and hear a fire alarm going off and then ignoring the smoke. Initial nerve damage may be in one or several nerves, and essentially the insulation on the nerve breaks down, almost like stripping the wire off an electrical cord. Muscles, in severe cases, muscles atrophy, and we may eventually have difficulty walking, not because the sensory nerves can't accurately tell your brain where your feet are. An analogy would be trying to close your eyes and drive a car. If you're it's not quite as bad because you can use your eyes, so it's slowly and progressive, but we don't want to drive cars blind. We don't want to walk without feeling in our feet. If neuropathy affects the large nerve fibers, we might feel a loss of vibration, touch, pressure, loss of strength, and problems with balance. A sensory neuropathy, we might not be able to feel temperature, and we might have pain or not feel pain. You can have one or both, and most people have both. Usually neuropathies we see are sensory, but the motor components can also be affected. Now what we're getting to, as this progresses, impaired support for the feet and the legs may lead to amputation or falling with resultant fractures. So let's replace, maybe it will go away with, let's evaluate what's wrong. This is Dr. Al signing off, and remember, we've got your back.